Okay, welcome. Good Monday, everybody. Here we got the halacha. We'll take a little break from learning about Erev Shabbos, which are a bit complicated, and I have to prepare it, and that takes a long time. So we're going to just switch over to Shavuos, talking about the laws and customs of Shavuos. Shavuos is Thursday night through Saturday night, 2 days, which is speaking about the laws of Shavuos is kind of interesting because there really are no new laws with regards to Shavuos. In fact, every town had a Rav. It still is like that today. Every town, every Jewish community needs a Rav. Yeah, a halachic authority, a Jewish authority. And they would always have to be in town because if during a Yom Tif or a holiday, because if a question arose, they needed to turn to somebody to ask the question to. But the one time that the Rav was allowed to leave town to go maybe to his own family or whatever it was, he wanted to leave town for a Yom Tif, he wanted to go to his Rebbe, it would be Shavuos, because we just had Passover, and whatever kinds of questions you're going to possibly have on Shavuos, it's already kind of fresh in your mind. 49 days ago, 50 days ago, was Pesach. So all the questions of like kashrus, every Yom Tif questions or cooking questions, the people are kind of familiar with. There's enough people to ask in your town. So they would go. So there really are no new laws about Shavuos. However, there are customs and there are things to keep in mind, and we'll go over them briefly. So just to jump right in. So we know we're counting the Sphira. Today is the 47th day of the Sphira? I counted last night. I don't remember.
Today is 46.
Today's 46. Yeah, today's 46. And so with regards to crossing over the international date line, we spoke about it briefly. In halacha, in Jewish law, it talks about, I'm jumping all over the place. I'm sorry. You have to count 49 days from Passover till Shavuos. If you messed up, you messed up. You still count, by the way. If for those of you who weren't counting, you say right now, today is the 46th day of the Omer, and we count. You got to count to 49. It's a big mitzvah. It's a great mitzvah. 49 days, a special mitzvah every day for 49 days. And the 50th day, we don't count. Hashem counts it, so to speak. And that's the day of Shavuos. Now, with regards to counting, what if you cross the international date line? So, which means if you fly from Australia to Los Angeles or vice versa, whatever it is, that's a big problem because you're losing a day. You lost a day or you're gaining a day. So you're going to miss a day. So what do you do if you're going to, if this is a problem, this might be a problem. And then it does happen. I know we spoke about it very briefly. The novelty for halacha talks about not crossing the international date line between Passover and Shavuot. Do not cross the international date line. Fly, if you got to fly somewhere or take a cruise, go the other direction. However, if you did, then you continue counting on your own. Yeah, even though you come, let's say you just flew from Australia here to Michigan, which is where I live. Today you're going to count the person's actually going to count the 48th day, 47. Today they're counting 47. They're going to count 47. Even though everyone else here is counting 46. And fine. And Shavuos for them will be on the 50th day. So it comes out that they might actually be celebrating Shavuos for 3 days. It could very well be that they're going to have 3 days of Shavuos, or really 2 days, but they're going to start earlier, right? So we start Thursday night, they're actually going to start Wednesday night. Whatever. Do not cross the international date line. Halacha talks about it extensively. It's called the Kava Terach. And try not to be in a place where the sun doesn't rise and set. Yeah, so like in the north, the more extreme north or extreme south, North Pole, South Pole, those are not places for Jews to live. As one of our Israeli friends said in our class a few weeks ago. A Jew should not live in a place that's too extreme because the sun doesn't go down, so it's hard to differentiate between day and night. And day and night is determined on by the setting of the sun and the rising of the sun. So it's a big problem. And if you want to know what the halachic ramifications of that are, let's say you do live in a very north part of Alaska, or the deep down below in the Patagonia Mountains, what do you do? We can talk about it at a different time. It's kind of interesting. If you're on the International Space Station, what do you do? Halacha does actually speak about that. Anyway, okay, the proper greeting on Shavuos is, or the When we come to Yom Kippur, we say you should have an easy fast. On Rosh Hashanah, we say you should have a sweet New Year, right? Let's say we're 5, 10 days, 2 weeks away from Rosh Hashanah. We'll say you should have a good sweet year. Yom Kippur, you should have an easy fast. Pesach, it should be a Zisin Pesach, a sweet Pesach, or people say it should be a kosher Pesach, a kosher Pesach. What do you say for Shavuos? So we say in Chabad, Makabel Torah b'simcha u'pnimius. You should receive the Torah with joy, and Pnimius literally means an inwardness. In other words, it should affect you on an emotional level. It shouldn't just be an intellectual exercise, which is very easy to do. Yeah, we know what we should do, but we don't feel it, and that is not good. But that's how Hashem set us up. A little Chassidus. Yeah, you have something called over here the neck. The neck is called the Meitzer Hagaron. It's called the narrow passageway. And when you have an idea and you want to get into your emotions, the problem is the idea can be amazing, but it doesn't affect your emotions because it gets squeezed, it gets stopped. The animalistic side, the human side is like, I don't want this right now. I don't want to change my life right now. Everything's fine, hunky-dory. I enjoy Pringles, excessive amounts of it. Please don't tell me anything deep and godly that's going to make me not want to eat it. So you have the Meitar Garan. Anyway, Mesimcha B'nimius, that you should receive the Torah with joy, and it should affect you emotionally, psychologically, etc., etc. That is what we say. Mekabel Torah b'simcha u'bepnimius. Okay, moving along here. Okay, we had Rosh Chodesh yesterday. So now, by the way, we're in the 12 days. It's called the there's 12 days. Shavuos basically encapsulates 12 days, if you really want to know. It's very interesting. We spoke about it. Rabbi Schneur spoke about it. I don't know if last week, 2 weeks ago, something like that. Really starts Rosh Chodesh Sivan, which was yesterday, the first day of the month of Sivan. That's when the Jews arrived in the desert. And we know Rosh Chodesh is a special day. It says the Yechida of the soul, the deepest level of the soul is revealed. Erev, it's called the Yom Kippur Katan. It's like a day of Yom Kippur. We do a lot of things. We have a festive meal on every Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh is the first of the month. So every first of the month, Chodesh means renewal, and we love to take advantage of anything which is renewal. Whenever we see renewal, our little antlers are like, oh my gosh, something's amazing over here, and that we try to take advantage of because we're always trying to renew ourselves. So we had Rosh Chodesh Sivan. The Yidden sat together. Ki ish echad b'lev echad. We sat together as one. It was the only time in our lives where we all loved each other. We were all got along. It was incredible. We were all doing one mission. We were in it together, and that was yesterday. And which means it doesn't stop yesterday. It continues on and even stronger. But that's an opportune time to really. Yesterday was an opportune time to make a resolution in your Avos Yisrael, Avos Habrius, in your love of a fellow Jew and love of creation, anything in creation. The real Chassidim, like the real deal Kabbalists and Chassidim and people who really appreciated Torah, they didn't differentiate between who they loved. They loved a rock and a tree and an ant and a Jew and a non-Jew and a table as much as they were all the same because it was all a creation of God. And so therefore, I had no room to kill a fly. A mosquito, maybe, because the Torah itself says sometimes you can kill a mosquito. They carry diseases. Very disgusting. And they're very annoying. Anyway, so that was yesterday. Today we have what's called the Shlosh Yemei Agvala, the 3 days of separation. So we arrived in the desert and we rested today. What's the actual avoda of today? What's the main theme of today? So everything is connected to Shavuos and even post-Shavuos. Yeah, Shavuos ends Saturday night, but it continues on for another 7 days, which we'll talk about in a second. What does that mean? So today we rested, which means it was a reflective day. It's a day of introspection. So there's a certain energy that's created on today. Yeah. So we try to take the reins of that thing and bring it inside of ourselves by making a resolution, a hachlata, to really, jump on that special energy. Yeah, so we have 3 days. Okay, there's a few things. Then we have Shavuos, which we'll talk about in a moment. And then actually for the next 7 days after Shavuos, it's called the Shivas Yimei Tashlumim. You had 7 days to bring your carbon. So 3 times a year, let me explain like this. 3 times a year, we would go to the Beis Hamikdash. You had a requirement if you lived within a certain distance of Jerusalem, you had a requirement to go to the temple and bring an offering to see God and to be seen by God. Yeah, that's what, if you want to know the actual language. It was an awesome party. A pilgrimage. We had a pilgrimage. So we do it 3 times a year. Pesach, Sukkot, Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot. And now what's unique about what the connection between Pesach and Sukkot is very clear. Pesach and Sukkot have 7 days. You know, if you live in Jerusalem, you live in Israel, it's only 7 days. Yeah, it's 7 days, not 8 days. So Pesach, now Shavuos is only 1 day or 2 days, 1 or 2 days, depending on who you are. If you live in Israel, it's only 1 day. So while back in the day you had like a 7-day opportunity to go to Jerusalem, here you only have 1 day. So God extended it, said, I'm going to give you an extra 7 days to bring your offering and to come to Jerusalem and take part in the pilgrimage. So even 7 days post Shavuos, so Saturday night for another 7 days until Friday night, Shabbos, it's still connected to Shavuos. So whatever you need to accomplish on Shavuos, which is, we'll talk about very simply, is Torah learning. It's about Torah learning. That's what it is about, which I'm very proud to have this program offering Torah learning around the world. Yeah, even if you're in the desert. So so for the next 12 days, so how does that express itself? There's not excessive mourning. There's no tachanun. You're not allowed to fast. You're not allowed to fast for these next 12 days, interestingly enough. Okay, sometimes you could. If you get married, whatever, there's certain opportunities where you could. If it's done with there's joyful reasons for doing it. You can always fast. Yeah, okay. So there's that. There's no fasting. There are Chabad custom is not to take a haircut still. We don't take a haircut until Erev Shavuos. So Thursday, we don't start until Wednesday night, Thursday. Wednesday night, Thursday is when we actually take a haircut. We try to take a haircut. Actually, we should try to take a haircut. We cut our nails. Very important to cut your nails. Erev Shavuos, at least have them cut Wednesday night or Thursday. Even though we normally say you shouldn't cut your nails that time, but we do anyway. I'm pretty sure we do. It says we do. This, by the way, this program, this thing that I'm reading from, it's called the Badats. It's from the Badats. What's the Badats? Let me see if I can show you. Oh, I can't really see it. You see over here in the corner? Sorry. It's from Badats. Does it say Badats anywhere? No, it doesn't. Okay. Badats means Beis Din Sedek. Here, Badats of Crown Heights. The Beis Din, the courts of Crown Heights, they put this out. The court of Crown Heights. You think it's like a court. I remember one time I went to go, I had, before I got married, I had to go to the Rav in Crown Heights, and he had to sign my paper, my ketubah, and all these different things. I thought I was like walking into a courtroom. No, it's just like an office, and they don't really meet very often. Whatever, it's just 3 rabbis. For those of you who have gone through the conversion process, will know that to meet with the Beis Din or Beth Din with the court could take like forever. And you're like, why can't I just go to the court? Because they don't meet all the time. They all have like regular jobs, and then they meet in their office, once whenever they decide to get together. And actually, Rabbi Silverberg always says you have to have an advocate. You always have to have someone that's pushing the court, like trying to get them to meet with each other. Whatever. It's just how it goes nowadays, I guess. Anyway, so they put this out. Okay.
Boy, do I know that, Rabbi.
What did you say?
I said, boy, do I know about that.
Yeah, a lot of people do. A lot of people. Even Rabbi Silverberg himself who sits on the court. He's the one that says, no, you got to push. You got to be a pusher. What? Sorry, all these things are popping up in my thing here. Go away. Go away. Wait, sorry, guys. I just can't see it. There we go. Yeah, so you don't say Tachanon Seder. Here we go. Preparing for Matan Torah. Okay, now, like all preparations, it's very important, especially, we'll stick to Shavuos. Very important. How do you prepare for Shavuos? Learning Torah, making resolutions in your learning of Torah, very small resolutions, saying, I'm going to learn I'm very interested in the book of Joshua or the prophets, or just what the history of the oral Torah or Rambam, whatever it is, Zohar, and you say, I want to add in my Torah learning, it should only be like 2 minutes. I'm only going to add 2 minutes a week. Very doable, very simple. You can, if you forget to do it during the day, your normal time, you can quickly do it at night. Just 1 minute so that you can actually do it. It doesn't even have to be about, I have a chavrusa. I have someone I learn with, a close friend of mine for about 20 years. We learn every day, like weird Kabbalah, and but we don't learn for a number of minutes. We just learn one idea, and sometimes that idea takes literally 20 seconds. I know what's going on probably 55% of the time. He probably knows about 56% of the time, but we learn it anyway. But it's great. We call each other on the phone, and we do it just about every day. Okay. Let's see. What else? What else you got to do? Let's just see. Okay. Yom Yuchas. Okay. Yeah, it's not that important. Of course, it's important, but I want to get to the laws. I'm sorry. Simchas Yom Tiv. Simchas Yom Tiv means there's certain things you should do on a Yom Tiv. You should try to get women. You should, if you're married, you should try to get your wife some sort of new clothing. If that's her thing, it does talk about it should be clothing. My wife is not so whatever. She likes new clothing, but whatever. She buys it herself. She's like, whatever, I'll get it myself. But flowers, if she really likes flowers, you should get her something that brings joy, something physical, a physical thing that brings her joy, material item that is, as well as your children should have some sort of material item that brings them joy. So we bring candy. Candy is the only time my kids have candy. At least I think. Who knows what they're doing behind my back? But they have candy on Yom Tiv and Shabbos. Okay, here we go. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Erev Shavuos. Now, okay, sorry, haircuts we spoke about. Yeah, blood tests. Oh, shouldn't get a blood test on Erev Shavuos. Erev Yom Tiv in general, Erev Yom Tiv, which means the day before, the eve of the holiday, we don't do blood tests. Whatever, blood, it's connected to Kabbalah. Blood is giving away like chayas, it's giving away life, and we are trying to add in life. Now there's a special, I don't know why it's brought in Kabbalah, there's a special astringency, like a strong astringency, that on Erev Shavuos do not do a blood test. Okay, let's speak about dairy food because we don't have so much time. So, okay, one thing you got to do before dairy food, Erev Tavshilin. If you want to be able to light, Erev Tavshilin is a mechanism that the sages instituted that allows you to prepare on Erev Yom Tiv for Shabbos. So, what's going to happen on the second day of Shavuot? Second day of Shavuos this year is on Shabbat, which means on Shabbat you can't cook, right? So you can't cook, and you're not allowed. And there's another problem: the day before a holiday, you're not allowed to prepare from one holiday to the next holiday, from one day to the next. On Thursday, on Yom Tiv, Friday on Yom Tiv, I can't start preparing for Shabbos, or can I? So normally you're not allowed to prepare one day. So if Shavuos was Monday, Tuesday, I can't prepare food on Monday for Tuesday because it's taking away from the first day. It's called you're embarrassing the first day. It's not nice to do that. Mm-hmm. You're saying one day is more powerful, holy than the next. And we don't do things like that. Days have feelings, I guess. It's not true. That's not the real reason. However, what are you going to do on Shabbos? You can't eat. You got to eat food on Shabbos. It's a mitzvah to have food. And what are you going to do? So what they did was they allowed they made a mechanism which allows you to prepare from one day to the next, and that is called Erev Tavshilin, which I'm not going to get into so many details of what exactly that is. However, one thing you need to do is you need to have food that you on Wednesday. Thursday before Yom Tiv, sometime before Yom Tiv begins, before the holiday begins, you take a piece of challah or matzah, and together with a little bit of some food like fish or meat, like a piece of gefilte fish or whatever, small amount, and you make a special blessing, which we can talk about later. And you're going to say, this food is for, I'm going to eat this food on Shabbos. And what you're doing is you're connecting all of the days. You're connecting the previous day. You're making it like one big day, one cohesive day to keep it very simple. The first day of Yom Tov and Shabbos, and it allows you to prepare for the next day on Shabbos. What? Yeah. It's like very complicated. Rabbi Silverberg explains it like every year. I can stop anybody but Rabbi Silverberg in our shul, in our community, and they're like, I don't know. Whatever. We just know we can do it, so we do it. I don't totally get it. I've heard the explanation like a million times, and I kind of walk away like, I don't know what he said. But that's what we do. It also allows you, it's very important to do it even if you're not going to eat at home, because it allows you to light from one candle. It's going to allow you to light candles on Erev Shabbos, right? So, yeah, it's very important to do, because you're going to need to light Shabbos candles Friday night, right before Shabbos comes in. Now, let me explain something very unique to Shavuos. On all of Yom Tovim, all of the holidays, and on Shabbos, you can bring in the holiday early. Yeah, something called Plag. We daven Plag over here. It's about an hour and a quarter before the Yom Tov begins. It's still light outside. You can bring in the holiday, the Yom Tov, or the Shabbos in early. On Shavuos is the only time you're not allowed to do that, because you have to have 49 complete days counted for before Shavuos kicks in. And a complete day doesn't end until the moment before nightfall, right? Every day begins at night. Confusing line. Yeah, so we have to, Thursday night, which is the first night of Shavuot, we can't start an hour before nightfall because it's still the previous day. It's the 48th day of the Omer. Or sorry, the 49th day of the Omer. We need to wait for the 50th day. So we need to have a complete day until we can begin, which means if you live here in Michigan, Yom Tov doesn't come in until like 9:45 at night. It's very late over here. Much later, probably a half an hour later than most of you. Whatever, for different reasons. So it's very late. It's not the best holiday for kids. But although the daytime is. Now, that's just it. We don't take it in early, so it's very, very, very late. Yom Tov, the second night, Yom Tov is not even going to begin by us until like 10:15 at night, whatever. Now, we have dairy food. The way people usually do it, you're supposed to have a meat meal. Ein simcha ela b'basar v'yayin. You're not a joyful meal can only happen if you have meat. You should have meat by your meal. Even if you don't like meat, don't eat meat. Half the time I don't eat meat, but it should be there. So what people do, and we know we're supposed to have dairy on Shavuos. We explained it last class or whatever, however many classes ago, why we have dairy. What people typically do, and we do this here in our shul, is we make a kiddush, and the kiddush is with cheesecake and everything like that. So you don't wash for bread. We don't have a meal during kiddush. But that's where all the cheesecakes are and the ice cream. It's a big ice cream party, et cetera, et cetera. And then people actually wait an hour. The Chabad custom is to wait an hour between dairy and meat. So a lot of people don't do that. Yeah, you technically, and most people do this. If you want to go from dairy to meat, you just have to like wash out your mouth. And a lot of people do that. A lot of very, very frum people do that. Chabad, we wait an hour. Provided it's not a 6-hour cheese, like a hard cheese, like Parmesan and whatever hard cheeses there are. I don't know. So we wait. So what we do is we have the kiddush, and then we wait an hour, and then we have a meal later on the day back at home with cholent and meat and everything like that. If you're asking what I do, I don't do that. We just have I think we just get bagels, lox, and cream cheese. It's more enjoyable and tasty for me. So we do the dairy really on the first day, but you can do it on both days. I think we do both days in our shul. We have dairy kiddush both times, but you must make sure you wash. Dairy is really not done at night. It's usually something done during the day, but you can obviously have it at night, and it's only a custom. It's not like you don't have to have dairy. Moving along over here. Yeah, people bring flowers to shul. That's a big thing. Okay, let's move on. Let me just see what else there is. Okay, we stay awake the entire night. First night of Shavuos, we stay awake the entire night. Should we explain why? Sorry, you had a question?
Yeah. So you said we were taking a departure from laws of Erev Shabbos, but Shavuos is Erev Shabbos. So I just saw it because you passed the Erev Tavshilin section, and I was like, oh wait, but we
Yeah.
can do the Erev Tavshilin.
Yeah, you have to do Erev Tavshilin. Yeah, we spoke. I said that.
Oh,
And
I missed it. I'm sorry.
I only spent like 5 minutes on it. It's okay. No.
Yeah.
Caught you not paying attention in class. This is what happens when I can't see your faces. I moved it so I can't see your faces. No. Yeah. So yeah, we do an Erev Tavshilin. Yeah, we do an Erev Tavshilin. Yes, very important. Erev Tavshilin, again, just to remind you, you have to do Erev Tavshilin even if you're not going to eat in your house, because we spoke. Remember, we spoke about that every house has to have lights on for Shabbos, even if you got to have lights on. So either candles. If there's nobody else like candles in your house, you light candles for Shabbos and Yom Tov. Even if you're a man, you do it. What will enable you to light candles Erev Shabbos this year is you have to do an Erev Tavshilin. So everyone has to do an Erev Tavshilin, just by the way. Usually the Rav of a community does one a year for the entire community. So if you don't make one, you can rely on his. If you live in a community, most of you don't. But you should try to make an Erev Tavshilin. Okay, we stay awake the entire night, first night of Shavuos, because we slept in, which we spoke about. God did it on purpose. We did it on purpose, but it was the wrong thing to do. So to rectify that, we stay up the entire night and we say something called tikkun. I don't say tikkun. Very, very boring. But we have classes the entire night. We have like 15 speakers and they speak for 15 minutes or 20 minutes with breaks and coffee and cakes and all these different things. And we stay up the entire night learning Torah to rectify that. Then we go to the mikvah. If you're a man, women don't do that. Men go to the mikvah right before dawn. Dawn is when we started to receive the Torah. That's when the shofar, kol gadol shelo yasaf. That's when a shofar was blasted out. And we woke up. So then we go to the mikvah. Davening starts a little bit later. Very important, by the way, to give tzedakah. She very much gives tzedakah, especially to institutions that are connected to Torah learning. We spoke about why the power of tzedakah. Very important to do that. Not on Shavuos, Erev Shavuos.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What's more important, staying up for studying or going to shul in the morning?
Okay, so very good question.
Because
Going to shul
last year I stayed up all night and then I ended up sleeping in. So I was like, I didn't do the tikkun because I slept in anyway.
You repeated what they.
Yeah.
No, it's a very good question, and it's more important to go to shul tomorrow. It's more important to be there. Why? Because we're going to read the 10 Commandments. Number one, you should try to say Shema. If you're a man, you say Shema, the Shema in its proper time. I don't know if we ever did a class on that. Zman Krishma, you have a certain time. You have until a certain time to say the Shema in the morning. So that's a mitzvah from the Torah. So it's very important not to miss that. And another, to say it in time over here, it's like 9:45 in the morning. And number two, we read the 10 Commandments, Aseres Hadibros, on the first day of Shavuos. And it's men, women, and children, everyone needs to hear it. The Rebbe would stress very much that men, women, and children, even children, should come, even though they're going to cause a ruckus. I'm saying it's going to be loud and that. Yeah, that's fine. That's how it is. Everyone goes because everyone was there at the giving of the Torah. So it is, if you're asking me, it's much better to go to sleep and wake up. I don't mean to call him out, but Rabbi Silverberg goes to bed a little bit earlier because for that, I don't know if he stays awake the entire night. I don't see him, but he does that. Everyone knows that. So in order to wake up in the morning on time. First day of Shavuos is connected to Mashiach, Baal Shem Tov's birthday, David HaMelech's birthday, Yartzeit. Very much connected to Mashiach. The Baal Shem Tov, Chassidus, which is the Torah of Mashiach. And so you should learn lots of Chassidus. Let's see over here. Okay, what else can I tell you? I mean, there's a lot more, obviously, but morning Shema, okay, early Shacharis. We say Hallel tomorrow, full Hallel, not tomorrow, on the full Hallel on what's it called? Shavuos. 10 Commandments. Everyone should be there. Haftorahs connected to Mashiach. Dairy Mia, we spoke about that. Brachas on drinks, okay, milk and meat. 6-hour cheese. I don't know. It's okay. Whatever. After bracha. Okay. Nothing else. That's pretty much it. Okay. With that, I'm going to stop. Oh, that's pretty good. We actually ended up pretty good on time. Let me just see. Shabbos prep, mincha, my shliach, marching. Okay. Oh, just if you want to know like a Chabad thing, every Yom Tov we do something called talucha, which is when we go to another shul and we speak words of Chassidus. We go there to especially shuls, synagogues that maybe don't have much of a congregation. They could use a little injection of life. So we go there every Yom Tov. Shavuos by me was always kind of funny. I was never at home really. I was never home for Shavuos, meaning by my parents, staying with my parents. I would always go to like a Chabad house. Very often I went to Chabad at Cornell in Ithaca, New York. I don't know why. I was very hot, muggy, whatever. But Shavuos, yeah, you go to another shul, and we go to other shuls and eat cheesecake, have a good time. It's a long holiday, but it's fun if you're with the right people. Very important to be around the right people, the right environment. Makes everything. Yeah. Chabad minhag on tikkun. Yeah, we say tikkun. That's what we do. We say this little tikkun. I don't know. You're going to go into your average Chabad house or your average shul. They're not going to have something. Chances are they're not going to. It's called tikkun le'el Shavuos. Yeah, we say this thing all night, which is a little portion of every part of Torah. So it'll be like one line from the parsha of Bereshis, one line from the a few lines from Noach, from Lech Lecha, from Vayera. It's going to move on and on to the Nevi'im, to the prophets, to the writings, to the Zohar. It encapsulates the entire Torah in it. It's really long, and
It's like 368 pages.
368 pages. It's not that.
Yeah, I believe so.
It'll take you all night to read it.
Yeah.
I like attempted it once, and I was like, I'll just listen to the lectures. I mean, I keep it open and I read a little bit, and then a lot of people actually finish it by the end of Shavuos. So it takes a long time. A lot of people will just finish it whenever they finish it. If it takes them a couple days or a few days, they finish it in a few days, whatever. Say that. I'm not. I like to listen to the lectures. I give a lecture. I listen to the lectures, whatever. Okay. With that, I will conclude. I will give a class tomorrow, God willing, on Shavuos. A little bit about Shavuos instead of the weekly roundup, and because that's going to be the Torah portion that we're going to read anyway. We're going to read about Shavuos, not the Chumash. So I think it's okay. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of the day, and happy preparations.
Chazak Baruch.
Sei gesund.